Hey guys, how you doing? Please let me know. Can you hear my audio? Is my audio clear? Before we start things off, can I just get feedback from one single viewer to let me know, is my audio clear? Can you hear me and the music at the same time? Sorry, let me ask it like this. Is my audio clear? Can you hear me and the music at the same time, or are you getting some jittering? Please, I've got one single view in here. Let me know if that's the case. But anyway, guys, hope you guys are keeping well. It's been a while since I've actually gone ahead and created a video. The title of this video is Have We Entered the Golden Age? A lot of people have been speaking about how this Trump era is basically taking us, the world, into the golden age. So, that's supposedly supposed to mean a good thing, but let's go ahead and just actually have a look at what this golden age is starting to actually look like. So yeah, by the way, I just want to say to everyone on Patreon, thank you so much for your support. Sorry guys, it's taken me a while to go ahead and create a live video. I've just been coding like crazy. I've literally just worked 20 hours in one day. Like I went to bed at 5 and slept and woke up at 10 a.m., carried on working. So I'm constantly working on this project, all thanks to your guys' help. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So recently what happened is Trump launched this video on his Twitter. People still call it Twitter. It's so funny that people still call Twitter Twitter when it's had a rebrand to X. And it's like your rebrand really isn't working so well, man. Of the $44 billion, which have turned into like a $19 billion valuation or less, $9 billion valuation. I mean, I saw that coming from a mile away. It was just such an overvaluation. But hey, paid $44 billion for a platform with like 200 million users or something, 400 million users. Like, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm guessing it was a strategic political move, to be quite frankly honest with you, because the platform X, formerly known as Twitter, which everyone calls Twitter now, is basically still referred to as Twitter. So it's expensive acquisition and rebranding is not really working at all. And you have to ask yourself the question, like, surely he would have known that it would have made no money. If anything, it just pushed up his stock values of his companies, which it actually did. And during the Trump election and during the victory of the Trump election, we saw Tesla stocks and other Musk stocks basically skyrocket and essentially become overvalued and hit a bit of a bubble. But since all of this controversy, which has been taking place in the short space of 2 months, his stock's essentially like crashing. And so I wonder if the purchase of Twitter was some sort of, political move of ensuring visibility and communication. Because at the end of the day, Twitter/X is, famously used by famous people, whether it's political journalists, whether it's celebrities, whether it's whoever the case may be. People who have a lot of influence happen to use this platform, even though the platform only has like 500 million users, which is still a lot of people, but it's not that much compared to Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. And nonetheless, it was still purchased for $44 billion, which was ultimately loaned by the bank and was essentially a huge evaluation. And ultimately, its valuation's gone down like crazy. Anyway, so Trump recently posted this video, which is crazy, right? I feel like we're living in a dystopian world. We are totally living in a dystopian world, when you consider how violent it is, how much poverty there is, and all the ridiculous news stories and controversies, like for instance, let's look at this video, okay? I mean, Trump posted this on his Twitter. Oh, and by the way, it's all AI generated, right? And so this is Gaza.
Tunnels coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Like, what? Like, are you serious? This is so crazy that this even exists. And the President of the United States actually posted this on his Twitter, X. Like, this is fucking crazy. Like, first of all, USA has been sending billions to Israel every single year to fund their military, and they've essentially bombed Gaza to smithereens. They've completely decimated Gaza. It's an entire city with a population of like 1.5 million people, and they've completely decimated the city with an insane amount of innocent civilian casualties. People losing their moms, their dads, their daughters, their sons, you know, their brothers, children. And this place has been ultimately bombed into smithereens. And it's US taxpayers' money which has ultimately funded this. So talk about living in a free world, guys. You're not free at all. The government forces you to pay them so that they can fund their illicit genocidal war activities. And if you don't pay them to fund their war and their bloodlust, ultimately they'll put you in jail. Is that freedom? That's not even remotely close to freedom. We live in a complete and total illusion of freedom. People speak about the matrix, the system. The matrix is attacking you. What is the matrix? The matrix is a man-made system created by people and institutions, and privately owned, like the banking systems of the world, the Federal Reserve, International Monetary Fund, so forth and so on. These are all privately owned financial institutions which are ultimately controlling the supply and printing of money throughout the entire world, ultimately. And you're being forced to comply with the system. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. There's nothing you can do about the system. It's so big, it's so developed, it's so heavily entrenched into every single aspect of reality. No normal person's going to be able to do anything to be able to deter that. But, when you look into the financial system and the quasi-financial world, it really blows your mind. And you look at who formulated and founded it, and the fact that they're privately owned institutions, like the Federal Reserve is privately owned by private families and private stakeholders, okay? And has been for, I think for quite a while now, over 100 years or something like that. And the world is so unbelievably, totally corrupt. Make no mistake, this world is so corrupt. I just saw recently, one good thing, I guess, that's come out of this Trump-Elon administration was ultimately a government employee was sentenced to jail for 11 years for receiving illicit funds from Egypt, because a lot of these guys, according to Elon, who are earning, like $100,000 a year or a couple $100,000 a year, all of a sudden have millions and millions and millions of dollars. And nobody really knows where those dollars come from until now, where they're running extremely thorough investigations. And ultimately, they're finding out that these people in government are involved within, fraud. They're defrauding other governments. They're defrauding their own governments. So, and they're making illicit, corrupt deals. And some of them are pretty evil deals. They have to do with war. They have to do with just political and cultural and ideological subversion activities and so forth and so on. And so, I live in South Africa, which is an extremely corrupt African country, but America, being a first world country, is also corrupt all the way to the top, politically speaking. And where there's a buck to be made and people to be sold out and money to be ultimately be stolen through the use of fraud, it's happening all over the world. It's happening everywhere. It doesn't matter, first world, third world, wherever the case is, there's fraud, there is corruption, and there is evil taking place, you know, ultimately, all over the world. It doesn't matter what country you're in, it's happening, okay? On all levels. You know, there's corrupt people fucking running countries, running these financial institutions in government positions. This is not a secret. This is well known. For some reason, extremely dodgy people seek power, you know, for the wrong reasons in the wrong places. And a lot of these people who are power hungry will find themselves in governmental or authoritative positions. And they're the ones that end up doing all this corrupt shit, whether it's lawmakers, policymakers, government officials, mayors. There's stories all the time. I'm just speaking about America now, but this is all over the world, of corrupt officials ultimately getting caught out for doing illegal stuff and ultimately stealing money from taxpayers. I mean, where else is that money coming from? So it's no wonder that you get a video like this. It's no wonder. It's no wonder you find a video like this Trump Gaza monstrosity, because that's ultimately what it is. This is just insane. I mean, I'm going to play this video again. You know, I'm going to play this video again because people need to wrap their head around how fucking crazy this is. This is fucking insane. So what you're saying is your corrupt fucking governments, your war-hungry governments, who's in the last 20 years, 10 to 20 years, has killed millions of innocent civilians, has funded warfare all over the world, and has been involved in warfare all over the world, has been involved in asymmetrical warfare, you know, political, ideological subversion, you know, and these are asymmetrical warfare tactics where they basically influence and control the minds of people in order to conduct warfare through the minds of the country's people. So, you know, that's why you saw all this transgender shit, all this LGBT bullshit, and all these arguments about shit that really doesn't matter. When you're killing people, look, I got nothing against somebody who wants to dress up as a woman. Okay, I got nothing wrong with anybody who wants to have a same-sex relationship. That's got nothing to do with me. It's got absolutely fuck all to do with me. It only has something to do with me when you're blasting it throughout all the media, when you're teaching it to children, when you're getting, you know, when you're putting it into people's minds constantly, because it serves your political ideological warfare purposes. It's asymmetrical warfare. It's warfare through ideology, through beliefs. And you can bet your bottom dollar that a lot of money gets spent on figuring out how to destroy countries and people and societies and civilizations through attacking their mind, their belief, their values, their ideologies. You can bet your bottom dollar that that form of warfare exists in an extremely big way. And you can't say that it doesn't, because it existed before Hitler, and it's existed after Hitler. Okay, it's just revised propaganda. It's propaganda that's not so blatantly obvious. It's propaganda that cannot be really linked to somebody, or cannot really be linked to an agenda as to why the propaganda is occurring in the first place. Take into consideration, guys, in the last 10 years, they have been pushing fucking LGBTQ plus transgender shit, all this crap. We're talking about people in the world that make up a small percentage of the world population. First of all, as I said, I got no problem with people who want to cross dress and have same-sex relationships. That's their fucking business. Got nothing to do with me. But when the government's getting involved and pushing these ideas constantly, and then you're finding out that they're funding programs all throughout the world through USAID, funding programs all over the world to essentially teach people this stuff and to prioritize it. It's clearly a form of ideological cultural value-based subversion. It's a warfare tactic that exists on a parapsychological level. It's not kinetic warfare. It's not taking guns and shooting a place up. It's not resource warfare, starving people from resources. It's a war of the mind. And most people are completely, totally unaware that these think tanks, these corporations, and these government institutions spend a lot of money and a lot of time on figuring out how to mess with our minds. It's not a conspiracy. This is true. It's existed for ages, and it's just existing in a completely, totally modern format right now. And there's extremely intelligent people that get together with all the data that they have that they've been collecting throughout this digital era since its conception, and they've been using those ideas and those insights in order to figure out how to destabilize countries, destabilize economies, destabilize cultures, you know. And one of the forms of doing that, the invisible warfare, Goddard Guardian just said, quiet weapons for silent wars. One of the ways of doing that is extremely well thought out parapsychological, ideological, asymmetrical warfare campaigns. And you'll never hear about them, okay? Because you're not supposed to hear about them. They're not going to fund money in a think tank through Bilderberg Group or one of these big groups where that are connected to these financial institutions, by the way, and that are spending massive amounts of money on figuring out how your mind works, what your behavioral patterns are, what your current ideological state is, and essentially how to influence you. If it's not the social media companies, if it's not the news, if it's not this and that influencing you, it's the governments through these legacy media platforms and these social media platforms, and through these programs which they have throughout the world, which highlight the importance of certain topics, the woke agenda, even the use of these catchphrases in order to term this thought-based warfare taking place. So you can bet your bottom dollar there's a bunch of guys sitting around there figuring out how to fucking destroy you from the inside out using your mind alone. Why not? That's completely, totally possible. If I can think of this, people are already doing it. I can guarantee you right now. If I can think of the idea, people are already doing it. And we know they're already doing it because we've seen the institutions that have been doing it. We've been seeing the funding of taxpayers' money, which has been going to certain global initiative programs in order to fund exactly what it is that I'm talking about. It's not a conspiracy. It's facts at this point. It's mainstream media. It's on mainstream news right now. It's mainstream fucking news. I'm not speaking about conspiracy. I'm speaking about mainstream shit. But people don't notice it. People don't pay attention to the frequency and consistency of certain ideas that are brought forward into the world. Okay? So, let's just pause on that for a second and let's just go back to this Gaza thing. Like, Trump is fucking crazy. Okay? Look, there's some things he does that I can't argue with, but he's crazy. The guy's fucking mad. Are you serious? You're fucking crazy, bro. You are insane, dude. You're sitting next to Benjamin Netanyahu, and you're like, oh yeah, well, Gaza's destroyed. It's a horrible mess. But he's sitting next to the guy who's fucking bombed the shit out of Gaza, completely fucking bombed it to smithereens. And never mind Gaza, guys. We need to go back to Lebanon, Syria, Afghanistan, where millions of civilian casualties have taken place in the name of warfare, in the name of corrupt warfare that has never really actually completely, totally made sense. And so Gaza, that's 1.5 million displaced people and their city completely decimated and destroyed. And good to see you too, Secretary. So good to see you, my man. I've been writing a comic, by the way. I want to share that with you. I've got some crazy ideas. If you want to bounce some ideas at some stage, let me know. But look, as I said, look, Trump and Elon are doing some good things. I can't argue with everything that they're doing, but like doing this doesn't make sense, bro. Like, you're gonna take like, listen to this is crazy. I'm just gonna play this again because this is insane, guys. Posted on Donald Trump's Twitter page. See there's a kid with a army man with a rifle, and Gaza doesn't look anything like this. It has no buildings left. It's all rubble. Okay, and he's sitting next to Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu, and saying, it's all rubble. Who's going to want to live there? We'll just move them to Egypt. And it's like, bro, your government funded the guy you're sitting next to bomb this place to smithereens, and now you're saying you're going to turn it into the Riviera of what? Of Arabia. And by the way, this song, clearly they made this song with this video. It's just insane, guys. It's insane. I can't believe this. This is like we're living in a Black Mirror dystopian universe where the president of like the most powerful country in the world is posting this about a war-torn country. He has a super yachts at bay. Okay, he has assumably the American, international, and Israeli population. With a couple of Palestinians in sight if they're lucky to be relocated to this land, but apparently they're supposed to be displaced.
Tunnels will intercept you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more.
Is Elon Musk, when he's not doing a Roman salute, he's eating some food. I don't know. I have no idea what food that is.
Fear. Trump Gaza is finally.
And what doesn't make sense about this? I mean, these are men with boobs. I mean, is this a joke, dude? Like, are you trolling us? And belly dress attire. You know, I mean, this is just confusing me, dude.
It's finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new.
Trump Gaza shining bright, a brand new future, golden bright. What?
Light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light.
A statue of himself. Now, I posted a video on my Patreon 3 days ago. It was essentially comparing Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus, Emperor Nero of the Roman Empire, to Donald Trump. But it's such an unbelievable breakdown of Emperor Nero and how evil, vain, and self-centered he was. He was someone who ignored any objective information, who killed anybody he didn't like, including his own mother, including his cousin, including certain Stoic philosophers. And his life led to a very terrible end. You really should watch that video. But after the Great Fire of Rome, he basically started erecting statues of himself, and he conducted a bunch of different building projects. And he started a Christian persecution, which ensued for the next like 500 years or something, because the Christians were blaming him for the Great Fire and ultimately were going against him. But I mean, guys, a golden statue of yourself in a former war-torn country with a song saying Trump Gaza. It's like, dude, this is like narcissism. This is Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus on a whole nother level in the 21st century.
Golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza.
And then here he is with Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu, in front of some hotels, drinking some cocktails. I mean, this is insane, dude. You know, this is crazy, bro.
Trump Gaza #1.
Insane. So yeah, look, I had to go through that video because it's just crazy. By the way, Secretary, you still here, man? Yeah, dude, I would love to bounce some ideas with you. We can have a phone call sometime. I'm also working on a comic of my own. I've just been conceptualizing the story in my head while I've been programming my application. It's a pretty crazy story, dude. Yeah, I'd love to speak to a fellow comic book creator about some ideas. But anyway, guys, so this world is crazy, dude. We live in a crazy dystopian. It's crazy, dude. This world's insane, bro. Like I think about it regularly. I think about how crazy this world is, how crazy life is, how crazy reality is. I think about the insanity of the system we're in, the news media, the stories, the narratives, the unfolding of stories here on earth. I think about, I think about how evil humans are. Humans have an unbelievable capacity for evil. I mean, we are like the only being here on earth who has such an incredible capacity for evil. And Earth is beautiful, reality is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but humans are fucking evil, dude. Humans are evil, man. Humans are evil, they're vindictive, they're narcissistic, they're deceptive, they're manipulative, and they're killers and murderers. But yo, by the way, Secretary, I wanted you to tell me something, brother. If I play this music here, can you still hear me talk properly? Let me just change this. I'm just going to run a test here. If I go ahead and play this, and by the way, how you been keeping, Secretary? Have you been keeping well, man? I haven't spoken to you in a while. How's everything been going? Can you still hear me? Because I put headphones on thinking that maybe my voice wouldn't be distorted. Is my voice choppy, or can you hear me? Please, brother, let me know in the comment section if you can still hear me. Yeah, so basically what I'm saying, I'm just going to turn the music off in case you can't hear me. Can you hear me when I'm playing the music? Is my voice choppy? Or can you not hear me if I'm playing music in the background? I don't think people are evil by nature. I think many are corrupted though. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can hear both clearly. That's such good news, dude. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to play some stuff in the background. Yeah, dude, look, I totally agree with you. I don't think humans are inherently evil. I think we definitely do have a great capacity for evil. We have an unbelievable capacity for evil, man. But we also have an unbelievable capacity for goodness and all that, dude. But I've just been looking. I scour through content, I search through content, and I just see some of the evil stuff people get up to, man. And like, for instance, like all this war and all this stuff, it's like people are funding this in one way or another through taxpayers' money or whatever the case. And it's like, when are people actually going to stand up against that, dude? To be like, yo, what are we actually doing here? And today I was actually thinking, when I had schizophrenia, there was this term that came into my head. And this term was define evil. That's one of the voices I heard, define evil, right? Because I was thinking about evil and I was talking to this voice, and one of the things that said, or my subconscious said, was define evil. And so today, basically, I'm eating meat. And I don't want to eat meat anymore. I used to be a vegetarian, but since all this stuff happened, when I was vegetarian, dude, I looked so good. My skin was so good. I was glowing. But I don't want to eat. I feel super guilty speaking about it, to be honest with you. But when I was looking at the meat in the plate, dude, I was basically like thinking about the human capacity for evil, and I was basically that term came back into my head, which was define evil. Because is killing 92 billion animals a year evil? But then you look at the circle of life. You look at nature, and everything eats each other in nature except for herbivorous animals. Like elephants are so big, yet they're herbivorous. You're talking cows, goats, all these peaceful herbivorous animals. But then you've got these predatory animals and insects and reptiles, and they have been predators for goodness knows how long. So it is a dog eat dog world, but there's also dogs that don't eat other dogs. There's animals that don't eat other animals. And so basically, I was like, define evil. Like, is killing something to eat it evil? Is it? Are we? And I find that phrase so interesting. Define evil, because it's like, okay, we understand what evil is, but like, can you define it? Can you determine certain scope and parameter of what exactly you consider to be evil? Because everyone's definition of evil may change and may differ slightly, or a lot. Like some people eat dogs, and you ask yourself the question: is that evil? The people doing it don't seem to think so. But they're doing it. So, and I don't like talking about this topic because I know it throws some people off and it turns some people off, but this is what I've been thinking about, because, and as you said, it's good to remember that the world isn't inherently evil. Humans are not inherently evil, but there's a lot of fucking evil people, dude. And I suppose the legal system keeps a lot of people in check. But look at this world we live in, bro. Like, we glorify violence. We glorify self-centered capitalism. I'm not a complete and total enemy of capitalism. I think capitalism would be great if capitalists could actually spend their money on helping people, not only helping themselves. Corporations could help people instead of just not only helping themselves. But this world is like, but I mean, hey, does it really matter? Because it depends what you believe, which side of the spectrum you're on. In terms of belief. Because at the end of the day, some people may look at it like, hey, I'm only going to be alive here on so many years on Earth. I'm stressed out about having to survive, and therefore I'm only going to be able to think about what I need to do in order to be able to survive without actually being able to stretch my thought any further beyond caring just about myself. And that's what we do. We pass on the banner to the next generations before we exit to that tunnel. If evil exists in the distance created between God and creation, the greater the distance, the more evil exists. Yeah, sure. I agree with that. I don't think that's... I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the only thing that determines evil, because there's a lot of atheists who are not evil. They're not murderous people. But I do believe, obviously, that can lead to people definitely not being evil. A connection to God, connection to morality, a connection to accountability and responsibility, being responsible for your own wickedness, being responsible for your own sins, and being held accountable ultimately by a creator. So yeah, I definitely do think that definitely contributes to a lack of evil in the world. I'm definitely not going to argue that. But yeah, I mean, this world, I'm trying so hard to contextualize what it is that I want to say. But look, life's not all that bad, okay? But at the end of the day, a very realistic truth is that, you need money in order to, for the most part, have a good life, right? So, and a lot of people, it's it's like 9 billion people, There's so many things happening. There's so many cultures, so many ideologies, so many stories. Like, for the most part, we just mostly hear what's happening in America. And that's not everything that's happening. That's just whatever happens to make it onto the news. But excludes the rest of the world. Every country has its own problems. Every part of the world has its own problems. Every place has its own level of corruption. I'm just turning on the light here, having a smoke. And corruption varies and spreads in different manners and ways, and it exists on a spectrum, of corruption, of evil. And I'll say on one level or another, to some degree, we're all corrupted by this world. But as you said, when we're children, I mean, we're pretty much innocent. But, as time progresses, as we soak up all this media, this entertainment, this information, all these experiences, the cultural, physical experiences we have in our own day-to-day life, the lessons, the journeys, the challenges we've encountered, the nasty people, the good people we've encountered, this all formulates our opinion of the world, formulates our opinion of ourselves. And lately, what's been happening to me is I've been going through so many different moods. And sometimes these moods will be triggered by memories that just happen to pop into my head. And by the way, to this day, neurologists and scientists don't know where the brain stores memory, right? So we don't really know how memory works. But I find it funny because it's like life changes. Like the way we experience life changes, the mood, the mode, the theme we're in. Like every moment you may be in a different mood. And so you experience reality in a new theme, in a new emotional stance. And, I wonder if you understand what I'm saying. Like this happens to everybody. We go through different modes of moods and emotions, and we go through these modes of moods and emotions, and all of a sudden reality can seem totally different in a second, you know and the way in which we perceive life changes. Like I remember looking back to when I was a teenager, and there were certain scenes painted by emotional states in my mind, and that influenced the way in which I looked at the world, the way in which I experienced each moment. Like each moment can have its own soundtrack, each moment has its own mood, its own mode, right? And I've noticed things getting progressively better. Like the level of reality in terms of my mood, my mode, the way in which I experience it is enhanced. Things seem more modern now, they seem different. But sometimes it's interesting because these memories come back and trigger certain electrochemical reactions within our brain, which create new combinations of emotional mood and memory states within our mind, right? And so it's so hard to explain this, but I've been thinking about it because I've noticed, like, in certain times, life just feels completely different. Like the way things look, the way I'm experiencing it, it's a certain tone, a certain theme, a certain mood, a certain mode, right? And some of them are really distinct compared to others, right? And I've noticed that as I've grown older, I've come out of a certain clandestine whitewashed out view of reality in terms of my internal consciousness experience of reality, and it's evolved and changed and progressed over time. It's like, for instance, what I'm trying to explain to you is like you'll get different comic books, right? And each comic book will have its own color palettes, its own art style, its own tonality, right? And so this, I'm using this as an analogy to try to explain this very complicated thing I'm trying to explain. And so like different comics or different animation styles will represent different feelings, or different universes will represent different feelings, different imaginative and consciousness states. So that's what we do. We're constantly transisting through consciousness states of emotions, mood, and energy within regards to how we're experiencing the world, right? And I think there's something telling about that, because sometimes you may get a visualization of a future reality you want to be in. And so you get this very rich and distinct feeling that comes with imagining that, right? And in a way, you're sort of creating that reality in your own mind, because you're creating a new emotional, perceptive state, a consciousness state that you're now experiencing. Your consciousness is not the same as it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you were in a completely different mood, a completely different mode, completely different personality, completely different situation, and things could have seemed way different. For instance, like, let's look at technology, for example. Like 30 years ago, you know, cell phones weren't even fully fleshed out in the market space, and we didn't have social media, we didn't have internet in the way in which it is we do today. We didn't have so much information. Things were a lot more slower, more traditional, uh, you know, more conservative, and a lot more wholesome. And reality has changed and progressed. And so, not only have the movies changed, the style in which the movies look, life has changed. The style of our lives changes. The style of generational movies doesn't only change, but the style, the inward-facing consciousness experience of the style of our own life and life in general changes and evolves over time. And it's super interesting because we're constantly going through these neurochemical electrical states in our brain, and certain memories and memory recall and recognition, it can from the past, can influence certain chemical reactions in our brain in the present and therefore in the future, right? So it's so interesting how our brains actually happen to work like that and change and evolve and adapt our experience of reality. And so I think I'm commenting on this because it's sort of an indirect way of commenting on the Earth's cultural current state, you know. And when I say cultural state, I refer to the way in which the global culture, or the international culture of Earth, combined culture of Earth, has ultimately changed and evolved and progressed over time because of things like technology, internet, media, information accessibility. Um, so news stories, narratives. So it's almost like commentary on life right now. I'm sort of indirectly commenting on how life has evolved to this point as it currently stands right now. Okay. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I'm pretty sure I'll figure out at some point why it is that I'm trying to make this analysis, this assessment, this analogy. But I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about, because I live in my imagination a lot, and your imagination can haunt you. It can put you into a certain consciousness experience that has its own theme, its own sense, its own tonality, can be quite dark, gloomy, clandestine, desolate, or it can be extremely vibrant, invigorating, replenishing, um, provide you with a sense of vitality. It's interesting and amazing how our imagination creates our experience. And our imagination in the past is affecting our imagination in the future. Our imagination in the past has affected the certain memories we've accumulated throughout time, or influenced and contributed towards that. And it will do in the present time and leading up into the future. So, from a neurochemical standpoint of consciousness evolution of humans, I think that's really interesting to see. At least on that level, we evolve, inherently, without fail, without even having to try. You start off young and you grow older, and your experience of life and consciously speaking changes. The way in which your mind and your imagination paints the world around you changes. So I think that's really important to know, because we shouldn't let our own imagination haunt us. We shouldn't let our own imagination paint really bad comic books, really bad themes, really unenjoyable tones, you know. And yeah, I speak about this because I let me see what's happening here. Comment section. So secretary says I'm doing well. By the way, moved back to Ohio, got a new apartment. Wow, that's amazing news, man. Some big changes. Sorry for that audio feedback. That's incredible, man. I'm blessed, brother. Gratitude is the key. to happiness. I try to keep my mental health and physical health and spiritual health in tune. And I thank God for every day and a sound mind, food, family, etc. That's really good to hear that you're in a good space, man. I think this year's started to become a good year for a lot of people. You know, I think a lot of people, including myself, had to get their bearings back. Happy to hear that things are on track for you, that you're locked in, that you're moving forward, man. That's really good to hear. I'm very happy for you, brother. And it's good to hear that you're staying in a great mental state. You know, it goes back to what I was saying. It's really important to to curate and cultivate your sense of imagination. You should let your imagination rule you, ruling your experience. You shouldn't let living in fear rule your experience, you know, because we're either going to have a fearful imagination or a faithful imagination. And these imaginative states are what's going to determine our ability to step into deeper levels of happiness or deeper levels of depression. And I don't want to get too totally wrapped up in how dark and clandestine the world is, you know. Tara Spence, very good to see you. Hope you're keeping well. Thank you very much for checking in and leaving a comment. So yeah, you know, the world sometimes seems like apocalyptic dystopian story, but it's up to us to be on the right side of reality. Sorry, this music's a little bit hectic right now. I usually listen to this when I code. I've been coding like crazy. I worked like 18 hours yesterday or 20 hours. I don't really know. So I've been struggling to find time to actually go ahead and make these live streams because I've been so wrapped up in what I was doing. But I'm going through these certain motions of emotion, you know, and having to get my head straight. And you know, it's quite a hectic process of being a solo developer who's developing such a big, grand, and ambitious project. Quite well, actually, besides the couple of setbacks that I face within the development process, which can become quite frustrating at times. And a lot of research and problem solving is involved. But I spend a lot of time alone just working because that's the only thing I have to do, you know, to sit down and work. I want to change my reality and influence and invigorate other people's realities with what it is that I'm creating. And I'm creating something so amazing, like it's my dream project. So I'm really happy about that. But it's what I'm trying to say is it's a constant process of having to keep your mind in check, having to keep your emotions in check, having to stay positive and optimistic, having to not fall into apathetic, paranoid nervousness, having to learn to figure out how to not imagine total worst case scenarios, you know, which affect your energy, which affect your ability to act. So, you know, being locked away in isolation and being locked away and working so much, um, you have to balance your mental state. You have to stay strong internally. And it's not only what I'm working, that applies to every aspect of life. You know, we have to be in charge of our own mind. Like my mind was destroyed at a certain point. I got schizophrenia. I went through a deep depression. And I figured out how to get out of it. And I got out of it. And one of the ways in which I got out of it was working like crazy, you know, working as much as possible, working on myself, working on my dream constantly every day. And like, in order to combat depression, I just work and make progress. Progress makes me super happy. And while I do that, I look on the net, I look online, I think about things, I think about life. I see good, I see evil. Um, a lot of the times humans frustrate me. Uh, Human nature happens to frustrate me. But going back to what Secretary is saying is like you have to be grateful. You got to learn to be grateful and stay grateful and stay in that mental space. But to reveal to you how I'm feeling now, I'm feeling like I'm in a stage in my life where I'm working incredibly hard on making something amazing, beautiful, and miraculous happen. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. This time I'll have my first product that I've created myself. And why am I sharing this with you? Because this is where my head's at. This is what I'm doing. This is what my life's become about. This is almost like what my personality is becoming about, unfortunately slash fortunately. But when it launches and when it exists, it's so epic that it's going to really impact the world in such a big way. And I believe in it, and I have believed in it for years. And it's my way of accomplishing all my dreams, of accomplishing great success in my own life and in influencing the world in really big positive ways, influencing culture in really big positive and impactful ways, as well as human behavior and the activities we engage within, you know, by working towards solving problems, of helping people meet their basic human rights of food, water, shelter, education. I'm not saying the education system's great, but in this world, you do have to be somewhat learned or educated in order to progress and advance in this world. You do. I mean, knowledge is power in that way. I always feel empowered when I learn stuff that helps me create stuff. I feel really, really empowered. So I feel like that's really important for people to do, is to constantly keep learning stuff that you can apply, that you can help you create, that can help you do stuff. Increasing your skills, increasing your knowledge. These are all extremely empowering things. And you may ask yourself, well, what's the point of doing that? Like, why are you even speaking about this? It's because life is long but short, and in the long length of it, it can be extremely complicated. And people may have certain aspirations and goals, and you can totally achieve them if you put in the work and learn the skills needed in order to do what you want to do. And I think that helps us uplift ourselves, because when you learn more stuff and you're able to do more stuff, you naturally feel more empowered, to be able to do stuff. I taught myself how to program, I taught myself how to 3D model. And to give you an example, in doing that, I I felt extremely empowered, especially when I started learning how to do it. I felt really empowered. I was like, wow, all of a sudden I can create my own applications, my own software, my own technology. It's such an unbelievably empowering feeling, you know, and it gives me, this may not apply to everyone, so many more reasons to be more optimistic about what I'm working on, what I'm doing, what I can create, what I can publish, what I can put into the world. When you know how to create something and create something well, especially something as complicated as an application. So for me, if I didn't do that, I would probably be in a way worse mental state, to be totally honest with you, because I would have less reasons to be completely, totally optimistic about the future. You know, like when you can creating is amazing. Being able to create stuff, like I don't have much money right now. I'm working on creating money, creating wealth. Some people must say, "Oh, why speak about money? Why talk about?" You need money. Fortunately slash unfortunately, you need money to be able to do things in this world. So we can't avoid it. You kind of have to steer towards it, and it helps you to be able to do things like all these amazing things I want to do, like create comics, create animations, create movies, create certain charitable efforts, and so forth and so on. It's technologies that help people in the future, a lot of those things can cost money. Like I'm developing now an application that ultimately is like it's like $5 million if I had to go to a development hub to create this for me. It's like $2 to $5 million, and I'm ultimately creating it by myself, for free right now. But to do other things you can do things for free. I'm not saying you can't, but after a certain point, you want to do more. You want to create bigger stuff. You want to. I mean, this is how I feel. Like I feel like I'm alive, and I want to accomplish all my goals and dreams, and I'm going to accomplish all my goals and dreams because I live in my imagination a lot, and it's extremely frustrating and sometimes painful for me to live in this like extremely visceral imagination and then to not be able to bring that to life in the way that I want to. Although I am doing that now, I have so much imagination. Like I've got scripts in my head, movies in my head, games, um, charitable ideas of solving food crises and so forth and so on. And so I don't want to be one of those people that's looking back and it's like I had such an amazing imagination. Like this is me speaking for myself right now. This is how I personally feel about my imagination. People may disagree with me, but I love my imagination. I love it because it's this world that I get to live in that is amazing. And I create all these things inside of it. And for me, you know, being human, one of the greatest things that I've been gifted by God, by reality, is an imagination. We all have an imagination, and I think it's quite incredible to have an imagination that can imagine things without having to do anything in order to imagine them. It's an incredible uh, tool, incredible gift we have. So, I really like to live in that imagination and I love to create things with that imagination. And I don't want to be one of those people looking back in my life that's like, I didn't work on creating what I imagined. You know, you're just sitting with this beautiful imaginative world in your head that's giving you so much pleasure and enjoyment, and you don't bring it to life. You don't work on contextualizing it and bring it forth into reality. That's one of my fears. And I work so hard in order for it not to be a fear on creating what it is that I'm creating, doing what it is that I'm doing. But it is, to some degree, something I don't want to happen and something that I will avoid happening at all costs, is not being able to bring my imagination into reality in the really big, amazing, and diverse, fruitful ways that I plan to. And for me, having a healthy, positive imagination helps me stay happy. It helps me stay positive. It helps me stay grounded. It helps me live. It helps me enjoy my life so much more. If I didn't have an imagination, and I wasn't imagining all these cool, amazing things. Myself right now, but my head, I've just been programming hours on end, and my brain's not even working correctly. I don't even know what to speak about, what to talk about. I'm just sharing where my head's at right now when I'm going through what I'm seeing in the world. I want to influence and change the world. I think that's a good thing to hope for. I think that's a good thing to work towards. I think a lot more people should be doing that and should be a lot more affirming within their ability to do that. Like, you got to believe in yourself because nobody else will. People will believe in you, but ultimately, I've been there. The only person to believe in you is yourself. And you have to believe in yourself no matter what. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you don't act, you don't create, you don't do. You become apathetic. And while I'm here alive on earth, I want to create, I want to do stuff. I want to change the world. Why not? I've got years left here, so I'm going to spend all my time doing that. And I enjoy it. They say if you enjoy your work, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's true. I work so many hours, sometimes 7 days a week, and it doesn't feel like I'm working. It just it's just natural. It's just second nature. I'm creating. I'm being creative, even though it's coding and it's technical. But there's so many creative aspects in what it is I'm developing and building. It's extremely creative. I'm creating this digital universe ultimately, which is with its own storyline, with its own ability to affect positivity into this world. And I'm going to succeed in it because I am really good at developing something amazing. I'm not like an expert programmer, but I'm really good at making good technology that works well and looks good. And it's quite a challenge because, my competitors have millions of dollars, and they have armies of programmers. And I'm doing it all by myself because this one day, this girl asked me this question. She was like, "Who's your hero?" And at the time, because what I was going through, it's going to sound like a really stupid thing. I said Steve Jobs. I could say so many other people, right? But at the time, I said Steve Jobs because I was doing business and I wanted to create. Um, he used Zen philosophy to influence his ability to create products and software. And he was taking this imaginative state of balance and tranquility and translating it into branding, software and technology. And I found that really inspiring at the time, a lot more than I do now. And one of the questions she said to me after that was, well, if that's who your hero is, then what was his mistake? She's basically saying to me that you should avoid whatever mistakes your heroes made. I have multiple other heroes for different reasons, multiple other people who inspired me, Jesus being one of them. I'm not saying that he made any mistakes, but most humans, like Steve Jobs' mistake was he sold out to people and he gave away equity of his creation, his imagination, his creativity, and he lost it and they took over it and they bastardized it and they turned it into something else. I'm not saying Steve Jobs was a perfect human being. I definitely don't think he was. But he just inspired me with how he went from nothing and this creative idea and imaginative state in his head and bringing it into the world that's influenced and changed the world in such a big way. I'm not saying Apple's a great product. I want to create my own phone, my own software, because I don't like Apple. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I was inspired by the idea of it, but I don't like it because it's just become another public investment company with board members and shareholders that are just profit driven and don't contribute anything back. And so the level of inspiration dies. The level of how much Apple's able to inspire you, it decays time. Because it's just all about money now. So the mistake is he sold out for the sake of money. And he lost control of his own imagination because other people owned it and kicked him out of his own imaginative company that he imagined to begin with. And so I decided myself, I'm going to build everything myself because I want to have 100% ownership. I don't want to ever go public. I don't want board members. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want it to be completely, totally profit driven. Its drive has to be to change the world, to inspire the world, to inspire good behavior amongst human beings. And eventually the end goal is to create a system of freedom, a new system of freedom that exists outside of governments. Because if somebody doesn't try to do this or advocate for this, I will die and generations will continue with these bureaucratic, tyrannical, governmental dictatorships guised under the guise of democracy and freedom when there is no freedom. And humanity will have no hope to ever experience freedom ever again. So somebody with a lot of resources, power, and influence at some point has to fight for and advocate that and have a solution, an alternative for people to step outside of these control systems, to actually be free. Because everything has been corporatized, everything has been incorporated. Roads are incorporated, governments are incorporated, provinces, towns, and cities are incorporated. Everything's owned as a corporation. And so this free world we're born on has ultimately been divided by money, divided by commercialism and capitalism, divided by borders, fences, jurisdictions, etc., so forth and so on. And everything has been is owned. Governments have more rights than human beings, which is the crazy part of it all. And they don't even exist. They're pseudo conceptual entities, which are ultimately just become corrupt control and power systems. And somebody has to be able to provide a solution towards it. But, it's not easy, because what you're up against is a system, people, stakeholders who would die for this system. Very similar to Matrix and the Neo. You're in a cage, you're in a prison that you can't touch, feel, or hear. In this case, we can't hear it, we can't know about it, we can't think about it, because it's these government bureaucracies that ultimately own human cattle. They own human cattle. And so somebody, if civilization is ever supposed to evolve and progress forward, somebody has to provide a viable solution, an alternative of freedom that exists outside of these control measures and systems. These incorporated government entities. Because we live in an illusion of freedom. There's no two ways around it. That's simply what it is. You're not free, guys. The roads, the land, the animals, they all exist in this traditional legal framework that's being decided by funders and policymakers and corrupt government officials. And, it's ridiculous. It's a system that breeds corruption. It's an environment that is conducive towards corruption. It's a system that is conducive towards corruption. And it creates and breeds corruption. And so if I die without having attempted being one of those people to provide that alternative, provide that solution in a really big way, and advocate it globally, internationally, and help people understand the importance of it. Otherwise, guys, you're just going to continue to keep living forward as each generation passes under this guise and illusion of freedom, where humans are just going to lose more and more power and rights.
That's it. Turn the page on the day, walk away. Sense in what I say. I'm 45th generation
actually Boiler Room.
I don't care when I'm spitting. So
Really
return
good,
to your sitting position and listen, it's fitting. And I'm miles ahead and they chase me. Show your face on TV, then we'll see. You can't do half my crew larks at your rhubarb and custard verses. You rain down curses, but I'm waving your hearses driving by. Streets riding high with the beats in the sky. All stare, eyes glazed. Garage burned down, the fire raised. For 40 days and in 40 ways. But through the blaze they see it fade. To see it black, the beaming heat on their faces. Their figure emerges from the wastage. Eyes transfixed with a piercing gaze. One hand clutching his sword raised to the sky. They wonder how, they wonder why. How's it come to be? How's it come to be? You
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah. I was saying that sometimes I listen to this music when I'm programming, and I just work like a crazy animal. I'm just so locked in to what I'm doing. And yeah, just try to find good music like that. So yeah, guys, this is the world we're living in. I just want to thank everyone, including you, Secretariat, for supporting me. You're enabling me to actually be able to continue working on this project. And once it's completed this year, I'm going to get you back in a really big way. Pay you back in a really big way. I really appreciate that, man. And I appreciate that to everyone on Patreon. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. You know, it's time to have my own platform. And I'm so happy and excited about that, to have my own product and platform. And it's all thanks to you guys. It literally is all thanks to you guys. It would not be possible without you. Literally would not be possible without you. I wouldn't be able to get by month to month if it wasn't for you guys. I'd be able to sit down and work on this thing. And I haven't really shown you much of it. I'm going to share some stuff on the Patreon. But it's pretty complicated and it's pretty crazy what I'm working on. And as I said, it's a huge project that I'm doing all myself. The animation, the 3D, the music, coding, everything. And I'm perfecting it, you know. I'm a perfectionist in that way. But perfection takes persistence. You have to be persistent when it comes to being able to perfect things. You got to keep working on stuff in order to perfect it and get it to an amazing, perfect level that you wanted to be at, whether it's music, whether it's art, movies. And I've always been very creative, and I just want to exercise that creativity. So I just want to say again, thank you to you guys so much. I really, really appreciate that. It means the world to me. And I appreciate you, Jesse. We always have great conversations. Let me know when you want to talk. Yeah, definitely. I want to get on a phone call with you sometime and share some of your ideas and share some of my ideas with you. I've been thinking about this comic book called Ion, ION, by SKC, Star Kingdom Comics. And it's a crazy storyline, you know, so I just want to share some ideas with you. And actually having schizophrenia helped me come up with the craziest storyline ever. I think it's quite miraculous that I don't have that anymore and that I've lifted myself out of that and I've worked like crazy. As I said, I went to bed at 5 a.m. This morning because I was working, so I'm pretty tired right now. And after this live video, I'm going to continue working and I'm going to keep working like crazy. I'm just pushing this like crazy. I've been stuck on something the past couple of days. It's quite frustrating. And my mind's all jittery and all over the place. It's kind of hard to convey what I want to say. And I'm rambling at times and my points all over the place, but I'm just sharing what's going through my mind. as best as I can right now, which is not really good. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. It's not really good, you know. Amen, brother. So I'm gonna say goodbye, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave this music playing in the background. So if you want to keep listening, it's good, you can. But thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate everything. I love you guys so much. And oh, I'm just gonna keep listening to this right now and get back to work. But love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate it. And keep well, guys.
I just keep praying, cause I'm making my way. But you keep hating, I can always be fake. That's the thing, I can see my count of blessings. I'm glad I'm kinda stressing. I be never know what's next. And when you're done with all your energy, I feel I keep my loved ones near. I really know I've got enough. Spirit told me never love praying. They don't like the way I say it. Putting on that
I have a love, and it never fades. From red garden sheds to watching lads on stage knocking heads. From the 2x2 fuck you punk stage to a warehouse rave with a bloke we met on the way dancing till day. I have a love, and it never fades. Full of plights and gripes like Achilles who loves fights. Like you did right, and we did twice. I love you beyond life. I have a love, and it never fades. You are God's son across the belly, remembered by pictures on your telly, your body laying in its glow, surrounded by those you know, crying for your words and your soul. And that final loss of your glimmer of hope that we heard every time that you spoke and choked up rooms and mots and venues and lads and mots. Words that spoke soft of those lost. Now we send you off on funeral cloths. I have a love, and it never fades. From red garden sheds to watching lads on stage knocking heads. From the 2x2 fuck you punk stage to a warehouse rave with a bloke we met the way dancing till day. I have a love, and it never fades. Full of plights and gripes like Achilles who loves fights. Like you did right, and we did twice. I love you beyond life. I have a love, and it never fades. You are God's son across the belly. Remembered by pictures on your telly, your body laying in its glow. Surrounded by those you know, crying for your words and your soul. I have a love, and it never fades. Now a long way from school days, sharing books at Big Break with the two of us and Barry and Craig, talking tunes and poems with too much weight for our age. With every cent we can take, with all the art that we make, we go straight through the day on a lake at empty place. The eight of this building head with the makes it great. So our love will never fade. Our love will never fade. With the love that remains, the shape of memory that stays. Even now I can see our face when those chords are replayed. Your arm around me, shoulder in teenage embrace. Tell all your friends I'd say, I have a love, and it never fades. Now a long way from school days, sharing books that we read. The two of us and Barry and Craig, talking tunes and poems, too much weight for our age. Manchester, who fucking wants it? Can you feel the love in the room? Over, Mono, yes. And a year ago or so, I played this song for you in the car stereo on the night breeze. This bit kicked in with its synths and its keys, and you smiled as you sat next to me. You in the front, Gilly in the back seat going fucking 90. The other boys stomping feet and me and that disbelief in the joy and the breaking the beats. We got out and stood by that Kia Rio cage stage, and I felt like I had it all. Cause I have a love, and it'll never fade. And either will you. Oh.
Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, I want to be. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, you need to me. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, I want to be. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, you need to me. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, I want to be. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, you need to me. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, I want to be. Follow me, right to me, yes now. Follow me, you need to me. Oh, it's you. Follow me, I want to be. Oh, it's you. You need to me. Follow me, right to me, close. Follow me, I want to be. Follow me, right to me. Follow me, you need to me. Oh, it's you.
color comes to mind when you see me? Red, right? The color of love. I'm gold, divine. I'm purple, like royalty. It takes more than one color to define us. Inecto hair color. Express yourself with 14 vibrant shades of summer. Inecto.
Thank you so much. That was Overrunner!
The boiler room that did not happen is happening right now in Kindred. So big up to Kindred as well for making this happen on such short notice. Yeah, nice one, guys. Let's get into this. Let's go.